times about the issue of the memorial in Carthage. And I just wanted to try to put it in perspective for you and then give you a chance to answer questions and let me give you my perspective. Remember, I'm one member of a board of 5 commissioners. I don't rule the county. I don't get to dictate. They don't rule my way. I'm just one of 5. I get to lend what I think to the issue, and then we vote on it, and then the majority wins. But this issue has, in my opinion, and I've stated this from the very beginning, it got so out of whack, and I apologize to the veterans of Moore County if your emotions have been used for political debate. And I sincerely mean that. Let me tell you why that happened. Back in October of 2011, I was the chairman of the Board of Commissioners, and the county manager came to me and said, we have an offer to potentially purchase some land, or at least inquired about purchasing some land that was located adjacent to Hardy's in Carthage near the Veterans Memorial. So I go to the county attorney. I'm not a legal person. It's not my background. I'm a business guy. I say, Mr. Attorney, can we discuss this in closed session business? She informs me that we cannot discuss this in closed session. I said, you know, Madam Attorney, we have been in the midst of trying to do some long-range capital needs planning for our county. I believe in planning and then doing, not doing and then figuring out you needed a plan. So we were trying to do some planning as to what we would need, because if you notice, one of the first things that happened when I was elected as your commissioner is the construction of a public safety center in Carthage. Another hot topic issue, and I don't even go into that tonight. I will, if you want me to. I don't think you want me to, but I'll be glad to answer any questions. But one of the things there was was a combination of years of planning, and we knew that we had an overcrowded jail. We knew we had a sheriff's department sitting in the courthouse facility, had been there for 20 years, and it was supposed to be temporary quarters. So we had a problem. We had to fix it. Well, we also have the same issue if you go to Carthage. I don't know how many you go there for various services, but if you go there for planning and zoning, you go to one building. You go to finance, you got to find another building. You need a tax department, that's another building. We got people scattered all over Carthage for all the services. So one of the things in our brain was, how can we consolidate all these people into one spot? So I said, Mr. Attorney, what about talking about a potential land swap, where there's some land available down near the health department. Everybody know where the health department in Carthage is? Down, near our ag center, got some land out there, and there was some land for sale. I said, well, what about talking about swapping land? Can we do that in closed session? Well, you sure can. So that's what the first meeting was discussed about, was just in a vision. No, not trying to say this is what we're going to do, because, as you have meetings here, everything you say is not a decision. It's a discussion. You throw ideas out, you say, oh, that sounds good, that sounds crazy, and I even made the remark, if you go back and listen to the tape, I said, guys, you may think this is the craziest thing I've ever come up with, but what about a total land swap where we take the whole DSS, the memorial, the whole 9 yards, and move it to a better location, one that is more, has to do with county government, other than it being right there in the middle of a business district. As you know right now, your memorial, the Veterans Memorial, sits right beside our DSS building, which was, when I lived there, when I grew up there, the Piggly Wiggly. And right next to it, there's a Hardy's, there's a Goober's auto repair, there was a Subway, and it's just in more of a business district of Carthage. When I think of the business district of Carthage, that's the area I think of. So I just had a brainchild. I said, what about moving all this stuff around? That's what we discussed at that meeting, and it was totally legal. But if you read the filing, or you listen to some of the news reports, you would see these commissioners are talking about this stuff in closed doors. They're trying to come up and just trying to basically, and I think politicians are in it. Sometimes they go do things they shouldn't do, and they do it behind closed doors. I don't know how y'all feel about Obamacare, but I know it wasn't very well discussed, and all of a sudden we've got this law of land. But to make a long story short, that's the way this discussion began. Well, we didn't do anything with it. It was just an idea, we threw it out, and for 5 months we didn't have another discussion until February of the next year. Another broker came back and said, look, these guys are interested, what do you want to do? I said, well, look, you know, that idea that I had didn't float. I don't think we're going to do anything. Well, another commissioner starts talking about, well, this is not a good time to be selling land and buying land anyway. And so we got the discussion about that. And that probably we shouldn't have done it. Because I wanted the subject matter for which we were talking about, and probably shouldn't have had that meeting in closed session. So we had a procedurally, we did something wrong, even though we didn't take any action. So then you fast forward to May, the broker comes back, still interested, but by that time the commissioners realized that we needed the land study. We didn't really have a vision. We didn't know what we needed to do with the land. We didn't know where we needed to put X, Y, and Z, so we said, look, Mr. And everybody knows it was Bojangles now by this time. We said, look, we might be interested, but we got a land study we're right in the middle of, and until we get that land study, we're not going to sell it and do anything. And that's where it stood. Now, that all got spun in the media as to some frenzy that the commissioners were trying to do something behind closed doors to sell land to Bojangles without any input. And I'm here to tell you, that would have never happened. And it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen now, it didn't happen then, and it won't happen in the future. At least while I'm there. Of course, I'm only legally there till the next election, which is about, what, a month away? That's just a little hint that I'm up for re-election. I said I wouldn't talk about that.
We're only coming for it.
That's
we got to invite all the candidates.
Yeah. I just wanted you to be assured, and I'm going to go on the radio, and I'm going to preach this until somebody listens to me. I want veterans to hear me and their families to understand this. There is nothing going to happen to that piece of property that would ever ruin the sanctity of that memorial. It ain't happening. All 5 commissioners have voted and said that publicly. I'm not going to do it in my father's name. I just told you what he meant to me. That's my military experience. I never got to go throw a baseball with my dad. My dad couldn't walk well enough to throw a baseball. He didn't get to go to my football games because he's usually hobbling around trying to work, because you know what it is as a 100% disabled veteran. You didn't make a lot of money as 100% disabled veteran. His check was very, very small. And we had 2 kids. He did. And you know how it is trying to make ends meet. So I understand the sacrifice. Now, I didn't have it personally. I was blessed, fortunate, whatever, to be, 1974 when I graduated from high school. Everybody knows what was going on in the 70s in the military. It's called Vietnam. And I didn't get to go. But I did experience what war meant to a family. So I understand it. So it really just makes me very angry when I see the media and other politicians try to take an issue that is so dear to people's hearts, such as the veterans and their service, and try to twist it for political gain. That day hurt. It's not right then, and it won't be right tomorrow. And that's not what I'm about. What I'm about is what's happening right now. And let me tell you what's happening. There's a committee that's been formed. The committee has been assigned the task of reviewing that whole area where the Veterans Memorial is now, the land that's adjacent to it, what might be the best use for it, how you could do whatever you wanted to do. But the key issue is they haven't got any time pressure on them. If it takes them 18 months, guess what? That means for 18 months, the memorial will look just like it does today. There won't be any Bojangles. There won't be anything out there. It'll just be that land that the county can use taxpayers pay to mow it and keep it updated. And we'll continue to do that. So for people to say, man, why ain't this committee jumped on and already made a decision and go ahead and fix it? I want to tell you the worst things you can do as a politician, probably as a family person and a business person. You make quick decisions based on emotion, and you probably will regret that day. Because you're going to come back and say, man, if I only thought about that. So they've got the time to do it right. And what you've got is members of the original Veterans Memorial that are on that committee. You have county planner, Robert Hyder. I don't know if anybody knows Robert Hyder. The man does this professionally. He designs pretty places. And if we want a true Veterans Memorial where it is special and has sanctity and it's a place people want to go, the shocking thing is I serve on the board of DSS as well as the commissioner. I go there every Wednesday, or one Wednesday out of every month, and I'm there sort of often, and I never see anybody at the memorial. Now, why is that? Well, to be honest with you, and this is just me, it's beside the Department of Social Services. It's not a place, unless I've got a purpose to go, that I really want to go. But I didn't put it there. All I can do is support the sanctity as the veterans are telling us that they needed to be protected. My question to them, and I'm going to ask them at the next committee meeting, define sanctity. Because here's what really bothered me about the whole thing, another thing, is when they came to us, the veterans, one group, was very vocal, said a lot of things in public. A lot of them weren't true. It was emotionally driven, and they did not have all sides of the story. It's pretty easy to make an argument when you only have been heard and told one side of the story. But when you get the other side, you know, Paul Harvey made a living. Well, the rest of the story? Well, the rest of the story is the commissioners never went to look to sell the land. We don't need to sell the land. We don't know what we need to do with that land. So certainly, let's let this Veterans Committee, along with the county planner, county attorney, these guys, let's have what I call an adult discussion. Let them go through all the issues, and at the end of the day, I got a feeling what we're going to end up with is something that's better than you have right now. And that's my true feeling that that's what the end result will be. And so that's what's been going on. And I'm telling you, it's not because I'm running for re-election. I've been on the radio, I talked to the pilot. The problem is, you only get it seems like what gets in the paper is what makes people angry, or makes you want to buy the next issue of the paper, not what the actual facts of the issue are. And the facts of the issue here is, there's nothing happening with that land. There's no rush, there's going to be discussion, there'll be proper planning, and when we get to the point where we have a proposal, if then, when it's proposed and you have a problem with it, that's when you need to come and raise whatever you need to raise. Not now. You were used for political purpose. I'm sorry. I certainly tried to stop it. And I got the minutes right here, and I'll read them to you if you want to hear it. Well, I don't know how many of you guys come to our board meetings in Carthage. You know, a lot of people don't come because the seats hard. A lot of people don't come because they're really boring meetings for the most part, unless we have something really that's a hot button issue. But the minutes are very, very plain. And you can look this up on the web, and this is what I said, and I'll read it to you. Commissioner Picerno said he would not vote to take any action on the land until someone came up with a credible plan that both the veterans and the county approved of. Now, why does that not make the paper? Why does that get omitted? I'll tell you why. That's not controversial. That makes absolutely good sense. Take your time, come up with the best solution, vote on it, and be done with it. And that's where we're at on the Veterans Memorial issue. And I'll be glad to take questions, because I know you've got to have some.